Hello and welcome to managing a high-quality deployment with CQD. My name is Martin Renas. I'm a senior customer engineering architect in the Skype for Business product group. This session is part of the wider Skype Operations Framework training. This shift to the cloud changes the way that Skype for Business is delivered, moving from on-premises deployments to online deliveries. We have been asked to provide practical guidance to assist with planning, delivering, and operating Skype for Business online. This video is based on SOF. As you all know, SOF is a living framework and we are innovating on a constant basis. By the time you watch this video, some details might have changed over time. For major updates, we will create a new video. Please make sure to download always the latest material from the SOF website so that you can leverage all the investments in the material that we've done. In particular, I will be talking about the CQD template in this video for quite a while. Please make sure to download the latest template from the SOF website. This video is part of the entire series of videos. In the first three ones, we talked about the basics of CQD, how to use it, how to manage reports, and what the basics are. Now we move on how you can use CQD to manage the quality of a deployment using CQD, followed by a couple of detailed sessions on particular items. In this video, we will be covering three things. First is how to implement reports and how to use the template to review user experience. What's the process that you can follow to monitor and drive user experience, as well as how you can identify areas that warrant further investigation. So just briefly talk about what is user experience. User experience is a combination of three elements. The first one, which is not covered in this video in great detail, is user satisfaction. Please reach out to your training and adoption teams to get answers to these satisfaction questions outlined here. The other two elements are called quality and reliability. We have a lot of data available around called quality and reliability, and we'll see this in the next demo. In this demo, I will show you how to import the template provided and how to review the call quality and reliability data that's available there. So I've logged into my CQD tenant in my CQD portal, and as you can see, we only have the all audio streams default reports that are available. Now, we've developed a template for you, so please go to the Skype Operations website and download the template from there. I did that already, and I'm going to import the template. To do that, I'll use the import function on the left-hand side. So just below the all audio streams, there's the import button. It will prompt me for the template. The template is a .cqdx file. So as I said, I downloaded this already, and I will upload this into my portal right now. The upload will only take a few seconds to complete. So it will upload. That's already finished. Now the page will reload and will render the new report for me. The new template comes with an overview that gives you a good understanding, a good overview of your current deployment health and the current call quality and reliability. So let's walk through this chart real quick. What we can see here is indicated by the blue bars that the adoption overall goes up. So the blue bars here indicate the total number of streams that we've seen in this environment. So we can tell that over the past 6 months, the adoption, so the usage of the platform went up from 4 million at the beginning up to close to 14 million streams in a single month. So that's a very good trend because we do see an increase in usage of the platform. Now, what we also want to know is what's the quality and reliability of those calls. So there are a number of lines added to the chart, and all the lines that are here relate to the axis on the right-hand side where we see the poor percentage. So let's start with the top one. The top one is the second feedback rating per percentage. So right now, the highlighted data point is at 8.9%. So whenever you hover over a single data point, there will be a pop-up showing you the actual data for the data point. The second feedback rating per percentage is based on the rate my call. So after every 10 calls, your users will be queried to rate the calls. And whenever a rating identified a call to be poor, which is a rating of 1 or 2 stars only, it will be shown and will be added to the feedback rating per percentage. Now, we have to understand, and we have to set this data in context. We have to understand that only every 10th call will be queried. So there's only a subset of users that will be that will be exposed to the query, and also users will more likely give a feedback if the experience was bad, rather than they will give a feedback if the call itself was good. So we have to understand this, that it's a lower sample set, as well as that people tend to give more feedback if the experience was not so great when reviewing this data. And this might explain why the feedback rating per percentage is relatively high at close to 9% on average compared to the other metrics. So the other metrics that we have in this chart are a mix of call quality and reliability. Let's start with reliability data. So for reliability, we actually have two different metrics that we expose here. The one is, here in dark red, is the total call setup failure percentage. So this indicates the number of calls where we were not able to establish the call at all. So this might be a reason of a device not working properly, or maybe there's an issue with media connectivity in total. So that's one metric that we expose here for reliability. And we also include the other one shown here in pink, which is the total call dropped failure percentage. A dropped call is a call that had been established at the first place, but then for one or the other reason dropped during the call. So those are the two reliability metrics that are exposed here. The third metrics that we see here is all about audio quality. So that one is shown in yellow here, and which is the audio poor call percentage. So that's the percentage of calls that had a poor audio. Now, if we see this at first glance, 1.8% of poor call percentage is probably a quite good starting point. The call drop failure percentage is probably something that need to be investigated, because we should not expect any calls to be dropping in the middle of a call. However, if we take the full picture here, we also can identify that we also need to search for trends or for signals that we can see here. And one signal that we are seeing towards the end of the year is that both the poor call percentage as well as the dropped failure percentage is going upwards. So in October, we had 2.1% poor calls and 2.08% in dropped calls. And then at the end of in the December, we have a slightly higher number. So there is an increase in dropped calls and an increase in poor calls. So that's definitely something that we want to investigate. So if we want to investigate the call quality and or the call reliability metrics further, we need to understand what are the influencing factors that we might see. And this is broken up into three main components. There's the service, which is totally maintained by us, and there's nothing you need to do there. So that's being taken care for you. But then there are two other elements that have an influence to both quality and reliability. One of them is the network, and the other one is the endpoint. The endpoint is really the user's computer, the endpoint, the phone that they are using, and all the drivers, headsets, etc., that make up that particular endpoint. And then the network is everything in between, everything that connects the computer, the end user's endpoint, the computer with our service. So there's the local area network, the wide area network, internet egress points, etc. All of those components have an influence into the call quality and reliability. And the soft template provided will help you to investigate those areas further. When we do our investigation, at some point, we will split out these various buckets and dive into those further, because by doing so, it's really easy to identify what's causing issues and where you can do something about it. Let's jump onto the next demo. In this demo, I'm going to show you the network-related reports that we have as part of the template, as well as the overview reports that we have for the endpoint-related elements. Especially for the endpoint-related elements, you'll see that the tables show data for the past 6 months, so we need to filter them to only show the relevant data for the last month. So let's see where we are. So the reports I wanted to show you are implemented as a sub-report to the template. So I'm going to click on the heading here. The blue text in the underline tells me that there are drill downs. So let's open the drill down reports. The first 2 reports in the drill down that we're going to see once the page has rendered are all related to the network elements. So we have the audio all streams report, which is already well known, which is our entry point for further investigation. We have the media reliability call setup failures. So that's a report that specifically talks about call setup failures, and again has a number of drill down reports here available. In our particular example, we do see that the call setup failure rate is going down. So we have a positive trend here. So as we are already doing some work in the call setup failure area, we should continue to with that work, because it obviously has impact, and we were able to bring down the call setup failure rate already. Let's continue to the next bucket. So we have some data around rate my call, which gives you a good indication on the end user's perception of the quality. And then the last reports here give you the overview on the endpoint related elements. So the first one is the client versions. As people are using our software to communicate, it's relatively important that they are using the latest client version. Now, as we collect all the data, we can run a report to identify what client versions are being used. So the first step here is to filter based on the report. The template is built in a way to show you data for the past 6 months. But now to get a sense on what clients are being used, I'm interested to see the last month data only. So I'm going to add a filter here to filter on November 2016. By doing that, all the data is updated, and I only see data for the last month. Now I'm really interested in to sort this by the total stream count. So I'm going to do that. And now the report shows me all streams that are being made by the user agent that was involved. And the user agent, as you can see here, has the version number included here. Now, one thing I'd like to call out here is that the number we're seeing here, the total stream count, is not the install base. It's not the number of PCs or the number of installations that we're seeing out here. Because in CQD, we do not have any PII data. We do not have any data around the individual endpoints, but we can report based on the number of streams. So the number we are seeing, the 1.57 million streams performed by that particular version of Office, is really then the number of streams and not the install base. So that's really something you need to keep in mind here. So what does this report tell me right away? Well, there is quite a variety of different Office versions involved here. So we have, based on our filter criteria, we still have 584 entries available. So we have 584 different Office versions that are being used in that particular environment. So that's quite a big number. By the time we go through those reports, we can also say that there are quite a number of different Office versions being used here. So 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, those are relatively new builds, but there are also some older builds available here. So if we see this one here, that tells us that we are using some older versions as well. So that's the first thing that you want to look for and see how old or how new the builds are, and this might be the first thing to investigate and understand why the Office is not being updated so far. So that's the first interaction for you with the software development team to see what we can do about the Office versions here. So the other two reports are all related to the audio devices your users are using to make calls. Again, I'm going to do a filter on the month, 2016-11. As you can see, this report has already a predefined filter to include only devices that actually have a capture device name in it. And then it is already sorted by audio stream count. So what this report tells me is what capture devices, what microphones are being used in my environment. Again, we do not see the endpoints, but we do see the audio stream count. So again, this is the number of streams performed using a particular microphone. For this environment, we can see that the majority of calls is actually being made through the integrated microphone array, which is not our best practice and which is something that definitely needs to be investigated, and we should educate our users to make sure that they use a certified device. So that's another thing that we can immediately tell from this report, that there's some more investigation that needs to happen. The last report on this overview page is all about the render device, so the other end of the call, really the speaker that's being used. Similar concept here, we need to filter based on the month, so 2016-11. And then we should see the report being updated. And again, we can tell which devices are being used, and it's not a big surprise as we are using a lot of integrated microphone arrays. The same applies to the speakers, so a lot of people are using the integrated speakers as well. Using the integrated speakers is maybe not that big of a problem because these speakers are, in the most cases, relatively good. However, if somebody is using the integrated speakers, it's very likely that they use the integrated microphones as well, and the integrated microphones will create some audio quality issues and eventually also reliability issues. So those are the first things that we can draw from this report here. Immediately, we do see a high amount of users or a high amount of streams that are using the integrated audio devices, which is the first thing we want to investigate here. When reviewing the data, we want to identify some areas where we start our investigation. It won't work if you start to investigate and try to solve all problems at once. We really need to start to identify what we call a hot area. What area is not performing as well as others? Where should we start our investigations? The next demo will guide you through this process to identify such a hot area, so that we can actually do some investigation, further troubleshooting here. When we do this, we will always start with audio quality, because audio quality is really important on the one side. In most environments, audio is the modality that's being used the most from a real-time perspective, and also by the time we improve the audio quality and fix the underlying issues like software versions or network issues, this will also have a positive impact on the other real-time workloads like app sharing and video as well. So back onto the call quality dashboard and the template that I've imported. As said, I will start investigating the audio quality issues to see if I can identify a particular area of the network or a particular building that is performing worse compared to the others. So let's open the sub-report here. The sub-report has 3 reports available for me. The first one is the one we're going to use here, which is the client to server per audio streams report. This report shows me all streams that are made between a client and a server. And this is, for the most part, this will be conferencing traffic, as we're consuming the conferencing workloads from the cloud. There's also a report available showing client-to-client traffic, peer-to-peer traffic. This is really if you want to investigate this particular scenario. In the most cases, we will start with conferencing traffic unless there's a specific reason to do peer-to-peer only. And the reason we start with conferencing traffic is that if we do that, if we start with the client-to-server traffic, we will automatically, or in the most cases, we will fix the issues that it will have an impact to the peer-to-peer traffic as well. But if you have a specific use case or a specific need, or you see that peer-to-peer is worse than client-to-server, you can start your investigation here as well. And then the last part here in this report set is TCP usage. So there's an overview report here telling you how often or how many streams are using TCP as a transport. Most parts, this is related to network issues, so we have a router or a firewall or some other network device, one accelerator type device that is preventing UDP traffic from happening. So that's another area that needs investigation. Videos 5 and 6 will go into more details about that. So let's go back to the client to server per audio streams and review that. So as we've seen earlier, the client to server per audio streams has a trend that's not good. That is not good because the trend is going upwards. So if we see the post-stream ratio, we started at 2.1%, and then over the course of the past few months, the poor call percentage went up. So that's definitely an area that needs investigation. So let's open the sub-report here and see what we have available. The sub-report there is really, there are 2 reports available, which of we will use the first report to identify the hot area first. So the first report shows me client to server streams by month and by building and by network name. Remember, when you set up CQD, we've asked you to upload mapping data that will help you to map a subnet onto a specific building. This data is being used here to tell you which building is affected. The first thing I'm going to do is I will add a filter to the total stream count. The reason for that is, as you can see in the data available right now, there are a couple of buildings where we only had 2 streams for an entire month. While I'd like to get those fixed as well, eventually at some time in the future, I'm interested in those offices where we have much more streams, because then my work will have a much greater impact to the user base. So what I will do here, I will add a filter to show only those rows that have at minimum 1,000 streams or 1,000 calls or more. I do this by applying a filter here and just copy and paste this 4 times so that I now only see all rows where the total stream count is 1,000 or higher. So that's the first element that I'm filtering. Now the second part, remember, all the tables show data for the past 6 months. So we need to change this and apply a filter here as well. Again, I'm going to do a 2016-11 here. So by doing that, I now have filtered down the available data to buildings where we have a relevant number of streams being performed, as well as data for a single month only. By reviewing this data, I can see that the office in Cape Town, that we have some issues here, because we have a high number of streams, a bit more than 10,000 streams, but there's a high number of a high percentage of poor calls. So we have 12% of poor streams, which is really something that warrants further investigation. So by taking the entire data, applying the filter on stream counts as well as month, and sorting it by audio poor call percentage, we've been able to identify the first building, the first hot area where we will start our investigation. In our case, it's Cape Town, and videos 5 and 6 will walk you through the details on how to troubleshoot media quality for that particular office. This concludes this video. In summary, we've been talking about the following elements. The user experience is a combination of user satisfaction, call quality, and call reliability. Use the template provided to investigate quality and reliability, and investigate them by considering the various buckets, which is network, endpoints, and service. We've also talked you through how to identify a hot area. In our case, we've been able to identify a single building that needs further investigation. So the next step here is really to go to the next video, which is audio quality investigations with CQD, which will walk you through the process once you've identified a particular area to start with, to dig into that further and identify what's causing issues in that particular area of the network. To learn more about the Skype Operations Framework, as well as to download the template shown here in this video, please visit our website on skypeoperationsframework.com. Also, visit our SOF blog on aka.ms/sof-blog to get updates on the latest improvements of SOF, as well as visit the Academy site on SOF training, where we have a lot of videos both for SOF-related trainings as well as product trainings available for you. With that, I'd like to thank you for watching this video and encourage you to continue with video 5 and 6 to do a deep dive in the media quality investigation further. Thank you.